Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and you just caught me admiring my Christmas ornament, Scooby-Doo Christmas ornament. It's from Hallmark. It's rather cool. It came out about 5 years ago. It actually plays noise, but I don't have the battery at the moment to play it. It's just Scooby making a little quote. It's kind of cool though. And yeah, I bought this off of Hallmark at their store. You should probably have one near you if you're in North America. If not, you can buy it on eBay or you can buy it on Amazon sometimes. I have another one here. This one I bought off Amazon because it wasn't in my Hallmark store. And it's the Ghost of Captain Cutler. They're very cool. They're about $20. There's a few of them. The one this year was the 50th anniversary of Scooby, so it's Scooby leaping out of a cake. There's also a Mystery Machine one. They release a new one every year, and I rather adore them. And I'll be putting them on my Christmas tree this year. And while we're not covering those two episodes, we are doing a special Christmas episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. And this is at the request of Pastry Vanilla, a fellow YouTuber, always a big supporter of the channel. So he requested this in September for me to do a Christmas episode. So here you are, Pastry. I hope you enjoy. And the episode we are doing is The Ghost of Bigfoot. It's the episode guest starring Laurel and Hardy. And it originally aired on November 11th, 1972. And it is the 10th episode of season 1 of the new Scooby-Doo movies. This episode sees Laurel and Hardy guest starring with Scooby, where the gang are at a ski lodge where Freddy is really gung-ho to ski. And there's a mystery underfoot because the ghost of Bigfoot has scared everyone away. Now, it's not actually the Bigfoot monster. It's apparently a mountain man, like a big burly man who's kind of mean, and he got lost in a snowstorm one day and he passed away, and then his ghost has come back to haunt that location. So you might not know who Laurel and Hardy are, and that's okay because they haven't been relevant in quite some time. They were popular in the 1920s to like 1940s, I'd say, and the two of them passed away in the 50s and 60s. So they were deceased before this episode aired, unfortunately, so they don't use their voices. But they were kind of popular among kids in the 60s because a man by the name of Larry Harmon, who's famously known as being Bozo the Clown, well, he bought the rights to Laurel and Hardy, and he actually voices Stan Laurel in this episode. Before this episode aired, Larry Harmon worked with Hanna-Barbera, who co-produces or produces Scooby-Doo in 1965, I think, to release some animated shorts of Laurel and Hardy. So you'd see these tiny, like 5 to 15 minute shorts on Saturday morning, and kids, kind of got reintroduced to Laurel and Hardy. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get to it.
Today, Scooby-Doo meets Laurel and Hardy.
The episode opens up with the gang decked out in their winter gear as they drive down a snowy road. Scooby is extra excited and begins singing Jingle Bells.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
It's not Christmas yet.
However, he's soon interrupted by Shaggy, who reminds him that it's not Christmas yet. Freddy chimes in that he is super pumped to be going skiing, while Daphne lends a bit of exposition to inform us that they are heading to Mackinac Ski Lodge in Vermont.
Mackinac Lodge, a winter wonderland set high in the mountains of Vermont. All modern conveniences.
Which is a skier's paradise due to some awesome hills and all the latest modern conveniences. Shaggy and Scooby, meanwhile, let it be known that they can't even ski.
Scooby and I can't ski.
We then cut to Laurel and Hardy driving in their beat-up vintage car down a snowy road. It is the wrong kind of car for this kind of road because it's like an old jalopy. It doesn't even have a roof. So they are heading down to the lodge in hopes of snagging some employment as bellhops, or as Hardey explains, luggage expediters.
We are seeking positions as luggage expediters.
Mackinac Lodge, a winter wonderland. I can't wait to get there.
And of course, they certainly could use the extra money because they need a more winter-appropriate car. Laurel and Hardy's car gets stuck on a tree stump as they swerve their vehicle off the road to avoid a giant snowball rolling towards them. So this snowball was pushed from the top of a mountain by the Ghost of Bigfoot. And neither Laurel and Hardy see the ghost. They just see the snowball, and while they try and dodge it, they end up on, like I said, the tree stump. Fortunately, the gang are also driving down the road and they spot Laurel and Hardy kind of in distress, so they give the duo a lift to the lodge.
Hey, like it's Laurel and Hardy!
Arriving at the lodge, they discover it is deserted. All who remain are the manager and owner named Caleb Burgess.
I'm Caleb Burgess, owner and proprietor.
And then there's this elderly man in a wheelchair named Jonathan Crabtree. Jonathan Crabtree's chauffeur is also in the lodge as well.
A beautiful day, isn't it?
Mr. Burgess explains that the Ghost of Bigfoot was a mountain man who froze to death in a snowstorm a century ago. The lodge is deserted as the skiers saw the Ghost of Bigfoot recently and they checked out either in fear or they just flat out disappeared.
There's a legend in these parts about a mountain man, mean cuss, who froze in a big snowstorm about a century ago.
Uh-oh.
When the snow flies, folks say, look out, 'cause Bigfoot'll get you. Well, some of them came screaming down the stairs and checked out in the middle of the night.
You think if they flat out disappeared, the police would be all over this, but hey, I guess it's 1970s Scooby-Doo. The gang head up to their rooms and turn in for the night. Scooby and Shaggy head down to the kitchen to grab a sandwich sedative, as they call it, and in the girls' room, while Velma looks out upon the stormy night, she is startled by the Ghost of Bigfoot looking back at her in the window. The boys, including Scooby, along with Laurel and Hardy, rush to the girls' aid. From the window, they see the Ghost of Bigfoot running off in the distance. Not even one footprint was left behind by the man-beast, leaving the gang to wonder if this is actually a real ghost for once. The next day, the gang, along with Laurel and Hardy, they head out skiing where they meet ski instructor Hans Edelweiss.
I am Hans Edelweiss, instructor. You like lessons, yeah?
Shaggy and Scooby stay back to get some skiing lessons from Hans, while Daphne, Velma, and Freddy hit the slopes. There are some comedic skiing mishaps taking place between Scooby and Shaggy and Laurel and Hardy as they make it down the hill. And then finally, the entire gang head back to the lodge to enjoy sitting in front of a cozy fire. The newly hired by the lodge, Laurel and Hardy, are put to work and are asked to deliver dinner to Mr. Crabtree. Upon reaching his room, they find him missing. The gang, along with Laurel and Hardy, split up in groups of two to look for Mr. Crabtree. Scooby, Shaggy, and Laurel all run into Bigfoot. During a getaway, Scooby finds a piece of paper with dozens of license plate numbers written upon it. Freddy calls the police to ask about the license plate numbers and learns that they all belong to missing vehicles. Searching around the lodge, the gang come across Bigfoot driving a truck loaded with stolen cars. This scene is awesome. Just seeing Bigfoot driving a tractor trailer is just amazing. Anyway, taking chase, they follow the truck to a scrapyard that has been closed down for the winter season. Searching for clues, the gang discover a projector and figure out that's why Bigfoot left no footprints. Someone in an old deserted cabin had a projector pointed out of a window so they could see it from the lodge. At this point, Bigfoot shows up and realizes that the jig is up. Running away, the gang track Bigfoot to a sawmill. At the sawmill, Daphne and Velma take off to get some help. Within the sawmill, they find a secret room where they confront Bigfoot and eventually trap him. In this room, they discover also that cars are being repainted. Just before unmasking the Ghost of Bigfoot, Daphne and Velma return with Hans Edelweiss, the ski instructor we met previously. Turns out he is an undercover detective. Unmasking the ghost, it is revealed to be the lodge guest, Jonathan Crabtree.
Stay right there, Bigfoot. You're under arrest.
A little man named Crabtree.
Uh-huh.
This entire time, he was faking being in a wheelchair so he could run his stolen car business in peace. Whether his chauffeur was included in the scheme or not is unfortunately never explained.
A beautiful day, isn't it?
With another mystery solved, the gang, along with Laurel and Hardy, decide to spend another week at the lodge. However, this time it's packed for business since the ghost is gone. I give this episode an 8 out of 10. This is a fun episode and probably one of the better new Scooby-Doo mystery movie episodes out of the bunch. This is just a fun episode, like I said, and I enjoyed the inclusion of Laurel and Hardy. They make a great dynamic. The dynamic between the two of them is often hilarious, and when they interacted with the gang, it's really fun too, watching that interaction. I didn't find the Ghost of Bigfoot all that creepy. That's like one of my downsides to this. I found him to look rather, I guess his design was angular, and he kind of looked like a Christmas cookie to me, like a giant gingerbread man, kind of. So, I didn't find him very intimidating, But watching him driving a tractor trailer loaded with stolen cars, that was a big yes moment for me. And also anytime we get to see the gang in winter clothing, that is also a big plus for me too. I just like the design of the winter clothing. Also, at 40 minutes long, this episode kind of drags in spots. Had they cut it to cut out 10 minutes of this, 15 minutes of it, this would be a pure win for me. All these are minor quibbles. This is a great episode. If you haven't watched it, check it out. Happy holidays to anyone watching this before the holidays. If you're watching this in the middle of July, well then, until we meet again, stay spooky.
Jingle bells, jingle bells.
It's not Christmas yet. We want a job as bellhops.
We are seeking positions as luggage expediters. A beautiful day, isn't it?